What up? We back. Got the lymphatic system today. This is going to be a very important one. Excuse me, and quite useful. I think this is it's pretty misunderstood. I mean, like we hear about it all the time now. As everyone's like, you gotta bounce, you gotta jump, you gotta drain your lymph. But not a lot of people understand what is actually happening because the lymphatic system is highly important. And what we're going to see is it's basically your immune system. The lymphatic system and the immune system are almost synonyms, which we really don't view them as even related when the lymphatic system is the almost the entire immune system. So let's see why. Let's see what you can do to increase your lymphatic flow, your lymphatic drainage, and just your overall immune function. It's really an important one nowadays because especially like our lifestyle is so sedentary and the way that we are like sitting is a really bad thing to do for your lymphatic system. So we gotta kind of reverse that bad action with good action, and the more specified we can get with our movements and with our actions and being actually cognizant of our lymphatic flow, the better you're gonna feel. You're gonna feel better. You're gonna look better. Like this is really a big source of swelling, inflammation. Like when you look inflamed, it's because your lymphatic system is not draining almost always. And might not be the root cause, but that's the actual effect that's happening. So let's just quickly discuss what it does, and then we'll get into some more stuff. This looks really complicated, but I'm gonna make it simple. It's not actually that complicated, but these visuals definitely do help. So your lymphatic system basically is a circuit of fluid systems in your body. You have like your lymph nodes here. You have a lot in your armpit, and you can see right here how it runs through the entire body. It's literally interconnected to the entire body. The spleen is important. The small intestine is important. Large intestine is important. These all have lymph nodes in them. So we associate lymph nodes with these. There's lymph nodes in your neck. There's lymph nodes in your armpits, in your large intestine, small intestine, spleen, um, basically like in a lot of places. All these places have lymph nodes in them, which is a lot of them. So these are the major points at which the lymphatic system drains. So it's the main points where the lymphatic system has its biggest effect, meaning that when you have a swollen lymph node, it means that you're not effectively draining your lymph. And there's a lymph buildup in these places where it does the most work. So it's going to swell up in the places that it does the most work if it's not draining correctly. The whole goal of the lymphatic system is essentially to just have as smooth a flow as possible. As the second that it stops moving, in the same way that you would never drink still water in nature, you would want to drink running water. It's the same in our bodies. You do not want the lymph to slow down, and you definitely don't want it to stop. When it stops, that's a major sign something's wrong. And not only is that a sign something's wrong and that's a cause of inflammation, or that's like the result of inflammation, but that will cause extreme inflammation because the things that are in your lymph are not designed to stay still. They're designed to keep moving and keep circulating. So here's what the lymph actually is. The lymph is the liquid which runs through your lymphatic system. But how does that happen? How does that happen? So your heart is beating and moving, I think it's like 5 liters of blood per minute through your capillaries and arteries throughout your body, your veins, your venous system. As it's doing that, it's also filtering your blood. So not everything gets absorbed. I have a picture here actually. So as blood that flows in the capillaries, this interstitial fluid forms. So as the blood is going through your arteries, there's this interstitial fluid, which means that the liquid that is not going into that's just staying circulating in your blood system, in your veins, forms this interstitial fluid, which is outside of your arteries and capillaries and veins. There's about 20 liters of it throughout your day that forms in this system. This liquid has lots of important nutrients and oxygen and many vital things. So your tissues absorb that back in. This is how we actually process a lot of our nutrients. Like that when we do breath work and we oxygenate our blood, that oxygen, that excess oxygen is in this interstitial fluid, which is then reabsorbed in your tissue. Your tissue becomes oxygenated, and your cells can produce more. 3 liters of this 20 liters does not reabsorb into tissue, and it just sits there. That is your lymph. So the reason that it can't be still is because if it did not get absorbed, it means it doesn't have a lot of nutrients. It's actually the waste. It's the waste. It's the 3 liters out of 20 that doesn't get reabsorbed. It's the waste, which means, I mean, if that was sitting there, you'd have 3 liters of liquid, which is like largely toxic liquid just sitting, and you'd be screwed. So that's why you have the lymphatic system. That's what the lymphatic system is. The lymphatic system takes it and puts it into the lymphatic flow. So now this is the lymph, and this needs to be circulated. So that 17 liters of interstitial fluid, it's reabsorbed, but it also is like contributes to the lymph, which is the lymphatic system fluid. But we're most concerned with the 3 liters because that's where the toxins are. So this is then filtered in your lymphatic system. And there's 3 main functions that the lymphatic system has to do. It has to keep everything moving. This is why movement is so important. This is why movement is non-negotiable. This is why a sedentary lifestyle will kill you, because of the lymphatic system, period. So you have to be moving. And I like to encourage actually fluid movement over, weight training and super intense training. That is important in moderation, but it's more important to move routinely every day, to walk, to like do qigong type things where you're just like moving, you're not stationary, you're jumping up and down a little bit, like if you have a trampoline. These are highly important things. The more you stay sedentary, the more this lymph is not going to circulate. Sorry about that. It cut out. So there are 3. Oh, what was I saying? Yeah, there are 3 main functions of the lymphatic system. Okay. Yeah, the 3 main functions, I was talking about movement, which is like actually the first one. Movement is circulation, right? The first thing that the lymphatic system really does is circulate the fluid and catch toxins. So that's why movement is so important. Baseline. Number 2 is it absorbs nutrients and fights off toxins. The third one is immune defense. So the third one is also kind of fights off toxins, just different types of toxins, but it's basically the same system. So if there are mostly fats can go into the lymphatic system, and because the blood system doesn't have an effective way to metabolize fat, the blood system does have an effective way to metabolize carbs, which is why it's like the cell's preferred energy resource. The lymphatic system has the ability to absorb fat and to make use of calories of fat into, arteries, tissues, collagen. It can use that fat to build, which is very important. If your lymphatic system wasn't there, you would not be able to absorb fat, which is obviously highly important. There's like, if you're not consuming a lot of fat, your hormonal function will just be off. Healthy fats like nuts, nuts, avocado, meat, eggs, these things have super beneficial fat that your lymphatic system absorbs and benefits from deeply. So the thing we also notice is that all three of these play into each other. So the more you're moving, the better this fat absorption is going to be. And the better the fat absorption is, the better your use of energy is going to be. Your energy production, your ATP production is going to be. Then, if these things are better, you're going to have more energy to allocate towards your immune defense. Your immune system is going to be better. So the third function of the lymphatic system is the immune function. So I have a little thing here. It's not important that you understand exactly what is happening, but it is important to understand the general configuration of it, which is essentially there is antigens, which is bacteria, bad bacteria. There's good bacteria, but this is bad bacteria, toxins. And then you have basically what I like to call the army of the cellular army. So we have macrophages, T cells, B cells, NK killer cells. But these are the things that actually have the ability to address and red the toxins from your body. So a good way to practically understand this is your lymphatic system, this system of antigens being the cause, and then the response being an immune response, macrophages, B cells, T cells, um, cytokines, all of these being released, is just if you cut yourself. If you cut yourself, what is the first thing that happens? It gets red and it swells up. So there's 4 types of inflammation that you can see in the body. It's redness, see if I remember, redness, heat, swelling, and I think just pain. And these are all the 4 ways that inflammation can be expressed. The thing that causes this inflammation is the lymphatic system and the immune response. And the reason that it causes inflammation is because it has to inflame it to cure it. So when you cut yourself or when you get hit really hard and it swells up, what that actually is there's all of a sudden huge cellular damage. There's a lot of antigens. There's a lot of bad bacteria that could seep into other places. So there's a huge immune response. Cytokines are released, and then basically saying to the immune system or the lymphatic system, send out these cells, send out B cells, send out macrophages. Macrophages basically just are able to go and envelop whatever the bad bacteria is. So you can imagine that kind of, right? You have a little bacteria, and then you have the protecting one that envelops it and just takes it over. What does that mean? It means it's going to get bigger, right? That is what swelling is at a larger scale. Just a bunch of macrophages coming and capturing the bacteria. That's all that swelling is. So that's what all inflammation is. All inflammation is an immune response. And it's very important to understand that the quality of your immune system is essentially exactly correlated with the quality of your lymphatic flow. This is the best argument for movement. Like, this is just simply like you have to be moving and you have to be prioritizing it. Some other things that I do and I have clients do, have people do at the store for the lymphatic system is there's 2 main culprits. The first is, I hate to say it, but common deodorant is one of the worst things that you can do for your lymphatic system. If your deodorant has aluminum in it, you cannot use it. You cannot use it. You have to get natural deodorant because there are a huge amount of lymph nodes in your armpits. And when you put aluminum in your armpits, these are heavy metals that are directly entered. That's an entry point into your lymphatic system, directly entered into your lymphatic system, into your immune system, that causes a huge amount of problems. So that's number one. If you smell bad, like that's also a kind of a clue, like, yo, I need to be prioritizing my lymph. Another really, really powerful one. This is one of the best things that you can do to clear it out. That's something to avoid. This is something to do. Take a hot water or warm to hot Epsom salt magnesium foot bath. The main point that lymph kind of can build up is your feet because gravity works. And so you have this fluid, like everything that's heaviest is going to sink down to your feet. And it's really important to drain that. Not only to drain that, but with putting magnesium in it and putting Epsom salt, you're also purifying the system. You can think about it like an IV. Like it's the closest you can get to a Epsom salt and magnesium, which is so good for you, so good for you. So that's as close as you can get to an IV because it just goes straight into your lymph and circulates. So that's something great that you can do. Then again, I'm just going to stress it: movement and hydration. Hydration is highly important for this whole system. We'll be drinking quality water, filtered water. Fruit is fantastic, and the lymph is another good reason why fasting is so important and why eating during set hours of the day is really important. Because when you eat, when you digest, you're basically taking all of the prioritization away from the lymph, which is okay because you're producing energy. But once in a while, it's really important to fast so you can actually purify this lymph completely and let it reset and not have to deal with new toxins. Because at the end of the day, all food is, aside from fruit, but even some fruit, like at the end of the day, it's inflammatory because you're ingesting fat and you're ingesting um, proteins and carbs. So like your body has to deal with it, digest it, but your lymph also has to deal with it. And so when we talk about autophagy, when the reason I'm sure you've heard of autophagy, like when your cells start you start cleansing out bad cells, that's a lymphatic effect. Remember when I said that it absorbs fat? So that's what that's what autophagy is. Your cells um, start using ketones instead of glucose. Glucose is carbs. Ketones is fat. So the keto diet is. Um, but yeah, so when you get to like the 36-hour of a fast, then your lymphatic system is able to burn off fat that has been sitting there. And that's really important because there can be toxins that build up there and it can attract toxins. So that is my that is my best advice for the lymphatic system. I would highly recommend doing a foot bath. Get yourself some Epsom salt, get yourself some magnesium oil spray, $20, and hop on that. It's this is such a game changer, especially like a lot of people get sick now, and like if you're just feeling bad for a while, or you have like you wake up and your face is super puffy, those type of things. It's a message from your body that you have to start moving your lymph. So prioritize that. Hope y'all enjoyed. Um, yeah, I hope this was helpful for y'all. Drop any comments about any questions you got and type shit. Peace, y'all.